Hi, I'm Anthony Cedar, and we're going to be talking about supercapacitors today. I'm going to explain what capacitors are and how they work, what are supercapacitors and highlight their benefits and drawbacks, and where they're used in the field, in real world, and how EM or electromagnetic theory relates to supercapacitors. A capacitor is a passive electronic component that stores energy in an electric field. It uses two terminals and uses two metal plates separated by an insulator. Once charged by a voltage source, energy is stored until the original voltage source is diminished or turned off. Then the capacitor will work to keep voltage until the capacitor is discharged. You can visualize capacitors similar to how water towers store water pressure and release the pressure when needed. Capacitors have extremely low energy density, meaning it would take a much larger capacitor to store the same energy as it would a lithium battery. The upside is that capacitors can release energy much quicker than a battery, which is why they're used in many electrical circuits and devices such as a camera flash. You can see one capacitor on the right. Supercapacitors have much higher energy densities compared to regular capacitors because how they differ internally and material they use. The metal plates that separate the terminals have a bigger effective area thanks to the materials used and are separated by less distance. They do not use a dielectric and are separated by very thin insulators such as carbon, paper, or plastic. And when charged, the separator can act as an electric double layer of one molecule thick. On the right, you can see how supercapacitors differ from traditional capacitors in their makeup, and you can see they're much denser. Supercapacitors have much lower energy densities than batteries and have a limited cycle life compared to traditional capacitors that have infinite cycle life. Current research seeks to increase the energy densities of supercapacitors as well as lowering costs and using better materials. Advances in material science has driven much of the drastic improvements we've already seen. So they're used in stuff that need high specific power, need to charge and discharge quickly, and that need to store huge amounts of energy. This means they're effective in power grids and in use with wind, solar, power sources, because they need to be released instantly, and it has to be a large amount that needs to be stored and be able to be released. And they're also used in regenerative braking and electric vehicles. Supercapacitors, ultracapacitors, and nanocapacitors are all variations of electrochemical double layer capacitors. Supercapacitors operate by creating an electric double layer of one molecule thick, which allows them to become more energy dense than traditional capacitors. Capacitance represents a capacitor's ability to store potential and is measured in farads. As you can see, it relates to permittivity. Energy is stored in electric fields or electrostatics, unlike batteries that use chemical energy. EM theory teaches all about electrostatics and how to describe them, and shrinking the distance requires understanding of electric fields, as the strength of the electric field cannot exceed the dielectric strength of the insulating material. And thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, my email is there, and these are the sources I use. Thank you. Have a good day. Happy Thanksgiving as well.